Hi guys! Welcome to our new vlog again.
Welcome back. It's July. Can you believe it? July 2025. It's the 20th today. And we have a lot of updates, don't we?
Yes.
What's the first big update, my dear?
About the AEC block. So it arrived.
Yeah, it arrived. They as I think I mentioned on the last video that we tracked the actual ship name. So if you're getting, I don't know wherever you're located, but if you get your shipment, usually I guess they load it onto a particular ship and then they have those details. So get those and you can track your ship. And then it arrived and they loaded it and brought it to our property in a, like one of those
Container.
Yeah, like a container, the ones on the 18-wheeler
Yep.
kind of things. And one thing was it delayed. You remember that we had, whenever you're doing anything from Manila, you want to do it months ahead of time if you can. And then, so it was actually delayed because when they tell you something on the invoice, right, they said 45 days or something. It was like basically twice that or something like that. So yeah, just be aware that whatever they say on their invoice when you're going to order, don't definitely go on that. Add like 1 month to whatever they say, as long as you have the space to store it in case it actually does come when they say.
Yeah, it's just causes of delay for the workers, basically.
Right. Yeah, that's the impact.
So, yeah,
and we had a small impact, but not very much like that.
Yep.
And then we found that they give you a certain amount that are allowed to break, and I guess you over order based on that. And ours went over that, I think, a little bit.
Just a little bit. It's just end up like they have to use like some hollow blocks.
Yeah, there were some locations on they're just utility buildings.
To replace some.
Yeah, luckily they didn't have to do that in any of the living areas. So, and then the true living areas,
Yeah, it was mostly on a rooftop.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it's because it takes a while again to, if we ask them to order new one or replace those broken ones, it might take like a month or two, so we don't want to like wait for that.
And so I would say when we were ordering that, I totally left it up to the architect to do square footage coverage for those blocks. I didn't really have like double check everything, just completely double check it on my side. I probably should have done that. It just seems like some things fall by the wayside, it has to be, and then you sort of like, unfortunately, trust. Did I use the word trust again? That don't trust them. If you can really do it, just double check basically everything, as we always say.
Exactly.
So the training people, you remember when you do your AAC block, and we use Block Tech, and there's the other one, Starkin, that you have to have their people train your people, because as you know, in the Philippines, the locals use like hollow block and rebar, and it's kind of a different approach, and we're using this more modern approach. Well, it's funny with our guys, they brought the blocks there, and we arranged, of course, for the training from the company. But they arrived 2 days late, and our guys, they just wanted to get going right away. And so they said, yeah, we watched all these training videos, which is like 90% of it is the training videos. It's really different how they do hollow block.
Yes, exactly. And we didn't expect it that they are going to start it like the next day. And then we were like really surprised. Why did you we don't want to tell them, why did you guys start it, without telling us? Of course, they don't want to tell us because they were afraid that we would say no. Why would you start it without the training guide that they sent to Palawan first, and then before you start? But unfortunately, they started it so quick, and they cannot wait to start the AEC block, and then that's what would happen. And then so far, it went well. It went well.
I mean, they were chomping at the bit. So when that thing showed up, they're looking at this thing from a construction project schedule, and I'm looking at it from a quality perspective. And so when I heard that they had just started, and they said, well, we just followed this video, which is the official Block Tech video, and that seemed pretty complete. Yes. But there are like little details that I didn't know whether in these situations when you're building overseas, there's this kind of local thing like, never mind,
especially,
or that'll be okay. And
yes.
then for you, the owner, you're like, it will not be okay. We need this thing done the way BlockTech says. Luckily, they did it that way. And one of the important things is this gap. It's totally different than, which I think is different than hollow block, in that they leave a seismic gap between the column and then where the blocks start, and then they fill that, supposed to fill that with foam insulation, right? So I was like, goodness gracious, from the photos that they sent us, maybe they didn't even put a seismic gap because they're so, well versed in the hollow block world. I didn't know what they did, but it turned out they did it the right way. And I should mention, because of that foam, I really thought
it's the spray foam.
Yeah.
They didn't have it. According to the architect, they didn't have it in Palawan. I'm not sure. We're not sure if it's only in Palawan or the whole entire. The whole entire in Philippines. They don't have it. Yeah. So here it's very common to have the spray foam, and they are showing us that they are going to use the sealant. Some
kind of a sealant, so they'll, like the old school way where they put, like, if you know a little bit about construction, there's stuff called it's like foam, like styrofoam, literally, and you push it into these giant gaps so that you can put sealant on top of it, like caulking or whatever. It's that kind of approach. Whereas I thought they would be like using that expanding foam all the way down and just cut it, on the wall. But again, you're kind of adjusting to, in our case, it's even more difficult in Palawan than other parts of the Philippines. Yep. So wherever you're at, and then we know people who are following us who they're building further away from even Puerto. We're in the capital city. So when they say something like spray foam, we really can't get a hold of that around here. I always go like, oh my gosh. It pops into my head all these ideas, like, one, you can get anything from Lazada or anything from Manila probably. Two, do you want to force your team that is typically using foam along with sealant, do you want to change their way of doing business? Because as soon as you say, no, use this other way that you've never used before, now you're dragging those kind of very basic repetitive tasks that they know how to do. Now you're introducing a totally new thing.
Yes, and also it will cause them delay. If you are going to order, okay, hang on guys, we are going to order spray foam and we'll send it to you, and then it causes delays and we don't know how many days before it delivers, So that's that. So we just
said go for it with your standard approach of foam and sealant. It probably works fine anyway. But I kind of like the idea of the foam filling all those gaps between the column and the block. I like that idea, but it was so late. They were like, here's what we're using, the sealant or whatever. So you're like, you don't want to say wait for 5 days to go to Lazada and get a case of spray foam that you people don't even know what it is and how to use it. Who knows what would happen, right? It could make a big mess. We sprayed it all over the wall, sir. No, stop.
And then put a smiley face.
Yeah, smiley face, hearts. So we just said, let's just let them do what they do best. So anyway, that's the story. AAC block, you'll see later, maybe we'll put some pictures of it. The walls are going up, so it looks like a real house now instead of this skeletal, just the support.
Without any support.
Yeah. So next item is the tiles. So we had to choose the tiles, which was a little more complicated than I thought, because you have, again, limitations of wherever you are, and then there's more traditional, I guess these 60 by 60 square tiles. If you like that, you're going to be super happy. It's
there's a lot of choices.
A lot of choices with that.
Yep.
It's very traditional there, whereas we like the slightly elongated 30 by
60.
Yeah.
But again, because there's not a lot of option or choices in Palawan, so we end up going with 60 by 60.
It's just easier because for us, for example, we were focusing on porcelain tiles just because of their strength. And of course, in some areas, you have to have them in the wet areas around the pool or the bathroom. But we really wanted to get mostly porcelain tiles. And so again, there's a choice problem. You say you have everything in Manila, but if we were going up to Manila once a month, maybe think about this. If you have enough time, you could go to Manila and just shopping spree for weeks at a time to get tiles, to get all this stuff. That might actually help you. We personally didn't have the time for all that, so we were just saying, well, we'll just focus on the local stuff. and then given those limitations, what are the colors that we could put in? And we stretched out the tile choosing time, and we started a long time ago, and we did this idea and that idea, and we just went around too much.
Yes.
And then we were doing like our perfect approach, and then after a while we started to make some some changes, just like, well, they have this, it's okay, this is like 80% of what we wanted, maybe not exactly. So by using that flexibility, we just said, we got to get this order done. And so we just finally put in that order, thank goodness, and now those things are processing.
Yeah, we just we order all the tiles except the stairs tiles. So we just have to look for that, for the next one, and while they are probably doing the tiles. So yeah, next one, it's roof.
Yeah, so the roof was interesting. So as you know, we have like a rooftop deck. It's not really a third floor, but it's like a rooftop deck with some little utility buildings up there for the solar and so forth, and for the water.
And living area.
And then there's like a nice little sala area where you can hang out and like have a lounge area on that third floor. Well, anyway, while they're working on that third floor, we found that they were kind of walking on the roof that would be there on the second floor, and so things would like fall off of the third rooftop deck while they were working on stuff. And so we did find that the surface, people were walking, the workers were walking on that surface and dropping things down onto
on the roof, on the actual roof.
Yeah.
And then they're dropping all of the, it's a gravel.
Gravel, yeah,
that
small
he
stuff.
used for the cement, I guess, mixing cement,
Yeah.
concretes, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So we found out that there's like scratches, the paint came off, and then there's dents and all of that
And
stuff.
the workers are like literally walking on the surface almost of your poor little roof on the second floor. Stuff's falling on it. They're like flexing it. It's not that great. It should be strong enough to hold people, but you don't want that. So luckily some of the folks that are involved with our project, different contractors and stuff, they will just mention like, hey, you'll notice there's a bunch of workers dropping stuff on your roof. You should just put some plywood down there, or some wood that when they walk on it, it'll distribute their weight, of course, across those areas. And also when things fall, it won't directly impact the roof. So we got some advice from other folks, and we thought, why didn't our team think about that? So I don't know, like I said at the very beginning of this, we trying to reduce the number and the severity of the problems. And that's one we just had no idea. The workers would just basically damage a new roof without thinking about it. We thought the foreman or the engineer or the architect, someone would say, stop, don't damage the roof. Nope, it was us.
Nobody like telling them to stop. If they damage it, they will replace it or, do something to make it nicer. We
keep thinking about like the big reveal at the end of the project. Like, here's your new house, ta-da! Except for the highly scratched roof.
Exactly.
And,
it looks like a second hand.
Right. Is this a used house? So that's the kind of the point we're saying is that you as the owner expect this sparkling new house. And then these people are just obviously not thinking the same way. They're thinking like, roof? Who cares about the roof? As a matter of fact, I think someone even said like, it's going to be covered with solar panels anyway. What do you care? But we're thinking of like the quality of each layer being like airtight, watertight, resisting rust, all that stuff. I think it's the material won't rust anyway, but it might leak. If you're walking and flexing it, who knows if it'll leak? Right?
Exactly. But it's still like, even though you cover it with the solar panels, it's still like, you want it like to be like nicely done, not like dented roof or not painted roof, Right. By the way, guys, we spend like a lot of money for this roof, or we build the house. We're building the house. So, maybe be considerate.
To our roof that's supposed to be new.
Exactly.
The next thing is drainage. So relating to the roof is the drainage. So as you know, in the Philippines, there's like tons of water. So right now it's really getting to be a rainy season. So, any standing water anywhere is the danger, right? So the way that the roof, of course, has a slant to it, you can see that. But then those things are going to run into some kind of gutter system. And you want to make sure that as it runs into the gutters, you have that slope down. There's nothing that's plugging up those holes. So it's a huge thing for us about drainage. And it's so frustrating too when you go into the bathroom. We've stayed all over the Philippines, and you go into the bathroom, you take a shower, there's like a puddle of water sitting over here in the corner or something.
Yes.
So frustrating because it takes like such a small amount of time to either use your level and make sure it's just leveled down to the thing, or just take what were you going to use is like marble. Just take like 3 marbles and drop them on the floor, and if it goes to the drain, that's good. If it doesn't go to the drain, we have a problem. So the standing water roof wise, that's like structural concern, right? It will get into your house and destroy stuff, and including the structure itself. So we're just doing that. We're checking the roofs. We're checking any walking surfaces. Of course, the rooftop deck has to be the same way. Where is that water going? We're planning on testing it out, like literally taking buckets of water and just like, we're not even saying, is the drainage configured? No. We will see if it's configured or not and get back up there and do it again, because we cannot have standing water. That's just, maybe I'm OCD about that. But standing water is just so, it's like unprofessional looking, but I see it so much that we're going to put a big attention on that.
Yes.
Next is the swimming pool. So wow, they started to dig out the swimming pool by hand. Believe it or not.
Yeah, everything is like made by hand, not a machine.
It's like the first 3 weeks was like just people inside.
Homemade.
Yeah, they're just in there. Like I thought, how are you going to get the machine inside of our perimeter wall that they already constructed? I'm like, how's the big machine going to get in there? Oh, there's no big machine, sir. There's like 10 guys with shovels. So they're doing it manually, and they're doing it. And the only thing is that you're going to have a different experience with your pool contractor. But our pool contractor was not very formal, and it's saying like, okay, here's your architect basically drew 2 squares on your ground floor. One says jacuzzi inside of it, and the other big one says pool inside of it. Where's the steps? Maybe you'll get the steps on that. But we were like, where's the formal design? Don't bring your guys on site to start digging manually without giving us a design. And we just kept repeating that until they dug out the entire pool. The pool, I think, is less of a problem, because all in the pool you have to do is, if you get the drains right and those skimmer things on the surface, and then the pipes have to be configured. The really big design thing is tiles. What kind of tiles are you going to choose? And then, or I guess it's possible to just do concrete, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we're doing tiles. And then the other item is the stairs. So there's things called cathedral stairs, which we like, which are the stairs that you go all the way across one side of the pool, the shallow end, rather than just having like a short stair. So we decided to go with that. But where's the design? What's the rise and run of the stairs in the pool? Nobody knows. So we had to WhatsApp. We're using WhatsApp quite a bit actually, to talk with these guys. And we're like, okay, well, when the pools that we go to, the rise and run is like this on the pool steps. So we just did that again, like what we did with our house design when we were measuring the width of the steps and the hallways and all that, to make sure that we were comfortable with that. We just use our house here, or go to a pool and go like, that's a cool luxury pool at the Hilton. Let's go in and copy that one. Yes. So using the luxury example, we said, here's the rise and run. And then we had read horror stories for if you're doing a jacuzzi, which is extra credit. Most people I don't think are doing jacuzzis, but if you're doing a jacuzzi, the big problem there is where the jets go, because we've read horror stories on the web where people say, yeah, the contractor came in, they pour the jets and they're all wrong. They're like in the wrong spot on your back or whatever when you're sitting back. So we went and measured the ones that we like, and then we confirmed that with them. But it's kind of like we were driving the design. The biggest problem would be if you don't know the design. So no news is not good news. No news is someone else is going to design your pool, and if you have the jet too low on your back, or it's squirting on your neck or something, that's up to them. You
or in your ears.
Who knows what they're going to do. So just be aware of that. We never really caught up to that. We were, in a normal project, we would say, do not break ground until we have a design, a detailed design. That doesn't seem like the way people like to do it. So unless you're willing to hold up your schedule and say, you stand there and just say, no one's digging until you give me a design, that good for you if you can do that. We just kept going along and just saying, just make sure the steps are this. As they were going, we were telling them that. And then the jacuzzi, the same kind of a thing. But because they're pouring like pipes into the ground, they're like literally digging down, putting pipes that go to the filters and all that, there's not a lot of opportunity to change. So that is probably a bigger caution area than something else that they could just say, oh yeah, we'll just move the AAC block 3 feet that way, no problem. So be aware of that, and that's what they're doing now. They're doing all this pouring of the seats. How far are the seats from where your feet are in the jacuzzi, and then of course from there up to what is the level of the surface and what is the level of the jets. So anyway, that's ongoing. So fingers crossed.
Yes.
Electrical. So our electrical engineer started the wiring in the house. So they're installing now on the outlets. So there's all these different places like that are normal. The normal places would be like those lights in the ceiling. Those are can lights, we used to call them. I guess they're called something else now from the ceiling. And so you have that, and then you have the outlets.
Is that you call that recess?
Yeah, like recessed lighting, right?
Yeah.
And so there's that, and then there's all the electricity that runs from Paleco, the local utility provider. That's the big chunky ones, right? That go into the panel with all the switches on it. And then, so they're doing all that, but they're asking us, hey, do you want to have your outlets, you just want to reconfirm your outlets here? And like one interesting thing about our place that you might want to think about is floor outlets. So in the upstairs hallway, sometimes you want to have like a little lamp in your upstairs hallway. Well, there's no electricity up there now. It's just all in the bedrooms. So I put a recessed floor plug that's there. That by the way, it doesn't have to be open to be plugged in. It's one of the ones that you plug it in underneath, and then the door closes. So we made very careful about that because we don't like these open things that you trip on. So we did that in the living rooms, the hallway. So you can just scatter those around wherever you think you might have to drag a extension cord across something or other. But all those things is what they will be asking you about at this point. Now, they should have been in the construction documents. By my standards, it should be reviewed and done. Just like, here's your plan, follow that. But there is a lot of dialogue still, which is good. And then that guy, if you're doing solar, and believe me, I think you'll be happy if you do. If you're doing solar, there's a switch that will connect the solar energy, and it will switch between the local provider and the solar energy, right? And our goal, we just like covered the place with solar panels. So by our solar guys' estimate, we will very rarely hit the local electricity, which, as you know, is actually a great thing because it's super expensive in the Philippines, crazy expensive, more expensive than the US. And second, it goes out all the time. So you pay more and you get less. So we're like, can't wait to, like, we're thinking in the future, a couple of years down the road, we might just like sever the local connection. But now, because there's a lot of risk, what happens if something goes wrong with the solar? There's zero backup, right? Exactly. So that's our backup is the local utility company. So they have to buy this big switch that automatically will go, hey, your battery's depleted, your several batteries that you've stored energy into. Now I have to switch back over to Paleco. So that hopefully will not switch very often, but it's part of the design that you have that opportunity to switch over to the utility provider. CCTV. So if you're, I guess, even if you're in a subdivision, we're not in a subdivision, and so one of the things that subdivision provides is guards, right? So security is on our mind. So one of those things is the CCTV, and there's local contractors you can get in, but during the construction process, once they know the general location of those things and the general field of view, they can put pipes or conduits for them to put wires through there if you're going to do wiring. And I think you might not even need that if you are forward thinking enough to do wireless CCTV. We didn't think about it that much, honestly. So I'm just like, better to have conduits than no conduits. So we're giving them the general direction of those things, just because it's a helpful security thing. You don't want things to happen when you're not out there, and you're not in a place where there's a lot of people ready to run to your aid in case someone starts climbing over your wall or something. And then we'll add more security measures later, like things to the top of the wall, as we'll probably describe when we get to that point.
I think next one is we have to find a AC contractor. Yep. And we're not really sure yet about that. And then the water filtration system. Yeah. So we're gonna do that next, and all of that stuff, right. And then the internet is the same thing as the local utility. Is that I think I've had really weird like Mahina connections. I've had it totally go out, and you're always wondering what's going on with the locals in their internet service. Well, guess what? We're gonna go with
satellite Starlink service, which is from the satellites, and you have like a little, I don't know, it's like a antenna the size of a laptop or something like that. So at this point, you also should talk to your folks about, is there a pipe that goes, an electrical pipe that I can put the Starlink cable down into? We're going to go from the roof to the second level, and that's where your modem will be. So it'll grab the signal, put it into the modem, and then the second floor will have it, and then they have a repeater item that it will strengthen that signal and send it down to the first floor. So rather than doing hard line all the way down, it's more wiring to go places. We'll probably just do it into the second floor and then repeat that, do it wirelessly to the first floor. But man, I am so happy to be not relying on the local electricity, and which is very frustrating, and then also the local internet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be pretty much self-sufficient out there. We're continuing to send money for whenever we have to do things like the air conditioning is coming up, or paying for the balance due. Usually it's like 50% balance due on things like the swimming pool or the air conditioning people,
tiles,
the windows, the tiles. Whenever we do
solar,
that, we're using the Wise service. It's so much better. And as we said, if you have a big Filipino bank, it is literally like the next day to send that money. So again, we have our like partner link, and if you want to hit that, it'll help us out. But regardless, Wise so far has been good for sending from you to a business, and then Remitly, which we don't have any relationship with, that's just sending to the person, like the architect or something. If they don't flag it as a business, you're cool. You're basically sending it to a person rather than you have to have a person's name for that one. And Wise, you can do a person's name or the business name. Thank goodness. And hopefully we're going to get to publishing a one video I can walk you through to show you how it's done, just to show you why we rely on it. We think that's pretty cool.
So finally we all done what we are updates with everything. So the next update will probably show you guys the house, everything. It's like with tiles, painting done, and all of the stuff, fixtures. That's the next that we have to do. So so we'll give you an update for like maybe a month from now again.
Yeah, and we're going to be examining things more closely on site, because all these things that you're going to see is like where things are. This is where you really have to say, why is that outlet over there? Or why are the tiles not straight? Or why is the drainage? Why is there standing water? Why are my marbles not running down to the where they belong? So we're going to be doing more examining, because now it's stuff that your eye will see. If you're living there and there's something crooked or in the wrong place, you can correct that now instead of living with it for the next 20 to 50 years. Or 100 years. Let's dream big.
Yes. So anyways, thank you for watching. Until next time.
All right. See you later.
I'm at the second floor. And as you can see, it's still kind of like a skeleton without the AC blocks. And you can see that down there, it's the jacuzzi in the swimming pool. Finally, the AC block arrived, and that's what they're starting to do now. They are installing the AC block on the second floor. So this is what they are starting the AC block without training first, and then they cannot wait to start to install the AC block rather than waiting for the training. So actually the next day it's supposed to arrive the training guys to do the AC block for them, but it looks like they are doing great. with without the training first. They're just as Barry mentioned, they were just watching the AAC block how to install it online, the video, and they're doing it themselves. As you can see, pretty much the whole second floor, it's almost done with the AEC blocks. And the next one they are going to do, it's I think the rooftop deck. And now here, it's still finishing the second floor. Here they are still finishing the roof for the rooftop deck, and they are going to do the AC blocks next. In here, they are starting to do the AC blocks. And this is our jacuzzi. And that's the whole entire swimming pool. And finally, this is what looks like the whole entire house now.